Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jai Jai.
I want to talk about a preaching project that I've been involved in for a long time. I've been working on formulating it for about 25 years, since Srila Prabhupada was here. And now I'm working it's a program for spreading spiritual values, universal spiritual values. So when Srila Prabhupada, in 1966, when he established ISKCON, he made 7 purposes of ISKCON. And outlining what was the goal, what are the aims of ISKCON, what he wanted to achieve, was the mission statement. So the first purpose, he's talking about propagating spiritual knowledge and educating people in spiritual techniques to correct the imbalance of values and to bring peace and unity into society. That was the first purpose. And the second purpose was to propagate a consciousness of Krishna as put forward in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can understand from that Srila Prabhupada, he saw that this establishing universal spiritual values, that was a basis, it was a foundation for our more specific preaching. Now if we think about it, there's a lot of people in society, they may not trust the Hare Krishnas. They think the Hare Krishnas, it's a cult, they may think. And many people now, they don't trust religion as a whole. Especially post 9/11, where a lot of people are thinking that the Arabs attacked Twin Towers. So much conflict, in general, there's so much conflict between religions, and many people are fed up with it, and they just lost interest in religion altogether. So if we come forward presenting that here's another religion, this is an Eastern religion, this is a really exciting religion, they may not be interested. Because they think that religion, where you just believe in something, it's not relevant. Especially in a scientific society where there's so much evidence that science has proved that the whole universe appeared out of nothing in a Big Bang, and then life came from matter without any divine guidance. And then the species, they say we proved how the species have evolved, one from another. So where does God fit in? No need for God at all. This is a propaganda. And many people buy it. Or many other people, they're just interested in sense gratification. And God gets in the way. So for so many reasons, there are many people who are not interested in religion as such. So therefore it makes sense, as well as going out, up front in your face, Hare Krishnas, tilak, dhotis, kartals, mridanga, books, everything, full on. This is necessary, that'll never stop. Sometimes it's more difficult than others. In China you can't do that. Russia you can do now. Many Muslim countries you can't do that. But in the West at least, it's okay, we can go out like that. But many people won't buy it. So as well as this approach, Prabhupada wanted an approach where we're educating people gradually in spiritual values. Now, a faith religion, it'll teach its members that, you have to do this because God says so. And people can see that on the whole, it makes sense. It makes sense to be moral. It makes sense not to steal. It makes sense not to kill. It makes sense not to commit adultery. This makes sense because it makes for a stable society. But where's the spiritual strength to avoid these things? Society's going to hell because there's no spiritual strength. So what we need is a system of spiritual values that doesn't depend on a sectarian belief. It doesn't depend on, I believe in God. Okay. A more scientific approach. So we have a program, it's called Vedic Post-Materialism. Vedic means it's based on the Vedic wisdom tradition. And post-materialism means, materialism, basically it's not effective. It's not working. The world is in chaos. Economically, we know, economic crisis. international crisis, really poised on the edge of atomic war. Environmental, social, emotional, psychological, spiritual. Everywhere you look is crisis. Materialism is not working. So what's next? So we're presenting a spiritual, a positive program that shows that, first of all, it shows that spirit is real. I'll explain afterwards, like in the next section, a little more detail. But the point is, we can easily see, just like Srila Prabhupada said, that you see modern society, they're building so many skyscrapers. Skyscrapers don't build themselves. The natural laws bring things down, and human beings are putting things up. Not only human beings, ants, birds are flying in the sky, insects are flying in the sky. So, living beings, they're opposing the natural laws constantly. So what is that? It's not just the physical laws acting. There's something else. It's a real, non-physical influence. So we say this is spirit. So we can show so much evidence showing that spirit is real. It's making a real difference in the world. And spiritual life is real life. It's not just sentimental. It's not just something that you do to get relaxed or something. This is actually real life. Because our real nature is spiritual. So spiritual life is real life. Then, having shown this, then we explain about 3 modes of material nature. Okay, there is meaning and purpose in life. And there are different ways of approaching life. There's 3 approaches. One is positive, harmonious approach to life, mode of goodness. And then another one, it's the confused, passionate approach. So in Sanskrit, this is known as Rajagun, mode of passion. And we see that mode of goodness, for example, yoga, people who practice yoga, this is mode of goodness. Living in the country is mode of goodness. Living in the city, this is mode of passion. Engaging in very hard activity with a lot of desires to fulfill, this is mode of passion. And mode of ignorance means people don't really understand spiritual values, they don't even understand material values, and destructive. So we see that modern society is actually very destructive and very confused. It's a mixture of passion and ignorance on the whole. Very destructive. So there's 3 approaches to life, and depending on which approach you take, you get a different result out of life. So what would you like? In Bhagavad Gita it explains the mode of goodness, this positive harmonious approach, it's like poison in the beginning because you have to discipline yourself, you have to postpone pleasure, but in the end it's like nectar. Because it takes you to a place where you can get peace and spiritual satisfaction, which is impossible if you're in the mode of passion. So mode of passion, it's like nectar in the beginning, because you're enjoying. You're enjoying the senses. You're working hard, you're engaged in something that really makes sense, you're striving, and you're getting results. But it's poison in the end. Archetypal, material love between a man and woman. It's like nectar in the beginning. The senses are attracted, and they become so attracted to each other. Completely absorbed. And it's the highest pleasure in the material world. But in the end, poison. Because a relationship built on that sensual attraction, it's going to end up in frustration. You're expecting so much from each other, and the expectations are not fulfilled, and therefore so many loving affairs end up in murder. There's so many murders in the family because people have very high expectations of each other, and they become very angry when these expectations are not met. And then the mode of ignorance, in Bhagavad Gita, it says is poison in the beginning and poison in the end. Because actually you're living by poison. People in the mode of ignorance, they're watching television, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, just engaged in a gross way of life that doesn't bring real happiness in this lifetime, and it leads to a degraded situation later on. So these are the modes, and you can understand what are the results of following each of these approaches. Then we talk about life skills, and I want to practice some of those this evening as well. Skills for living and loving. So the first thing to understand is who we are. Okay, we're spirit soul, we're in the material world, I'm identifying myself as part of this material world. But in more detail, what do I identify myself? I identify myself as this body. I think I'm male, I'm English, such and such an age, female, Russian, French, Swedish, Finnish, whatever. Second thing is I identify with my family. I'd like to do this, my father doesn't agree, my mother doesn't agree, my sisters and brothers are against it, so I can't do it. Means, Krishna's the Supreme Lord, but I have to do what my brothers and sisters say, what my mother and father says. So I'm identifying myself, and especially husband and wife. So the husband has to do what the wife wants, and the wife has to do what the husband wants. And then kids come, and the parents think they're going to discipline the children, but actually the children are disciplining the parents. So the family guides what we do. And then the community. After the family, how do we make our money? We make our money in the community. The community provides financial support, it provides social support, provides us with a house, and so on. So we have to follow the rules and regulations of the community, and also there's codes that dictate how you act. Like if you're Spanish, you can act in one way, but if you're British, you act in a completely different way. Stuff up a little. French, it's different again. Swedish is different again. And all the different nationalities, they make jokes about the other nationalities. Like in British, they make fun. English, they make fun of the Scottish and the Irish. And the Swedish make fun of the Danish. And the Danish make fun of the Swedish. Like this going on. The Americans make fun of the Polish. Like that. So everyone's identifying with their particular national way of doing things. And then beliefs. What kind of beliefs do we have? Someone's a Christian, they can't chant Hare Krishna because Christians don't chant Hare Krishna. They may think like that. It's not true. There's many Christians who chant Hare Krishna. Or, if you're Gaudiya Math Hare Krishna, you can't talk to an ISKCON Hare Krishna. Or if you're an ISKCON Hare Krishna, you can't talk to a Gaudiya Math Hare Krishna. Like there's so many divisions. So many divisions. There's one Irish devotee. When we went to Ireland, Northern Ireland in early 80s maybe, or maybe it was before Prabhupada left, I don't remember. It was probably the early 80s. So it was very, very dangerous at that time. When I was there, one Irishman walked up to another Irishman in the pub. He said, "Are you Protestant? Are you Catholic?" The guy said, "I'm Catholic." And takes out a gun, shot him through the head. So one of our devotees, Shonik Rishi, Northern Ireland, so somebody comes up to him in the street and said, "You're Protestant, are you Catholic?" He said, I'm Hare Krishna." "You're Protestant Hare Krishna, yeah? Or I'm a Catholic Hare Krishna." So these ideas, these divisions, they're guiding people what they can do, what they can't do. So on the one hand, we're getting identity, and we can't manage without an identity. But on the other hand, it's holding us back. So we need to know how to act in these areas. How to relate to our body. How to relate in the family. Body means fitness, health. A natural devotee lifestyle it's a healthy lifestyle. Unless you're carrying very heavy book bags. That's not so good. And then in the family, how to communicate with each other without upsetting each other too much. How to make requests. How to express emotions. How to express needs. How to love. What does it mean to be in a relationship? Relationship means you've got a particular role. You have responsibilities. You also have rights. And there's boundaries also. How much do you open up to other people? Do you open up completely? Do you close down completely? No, there's grades of opening up. So then in the community, what kind of work am I going to do? What kind of contribution am I going to make? So there's work skills. What is my work preference? If we work, it's been shown that everybody has a particular talent, or particular talents, particular group of talents. And if we work in this area of talent consistently, for a number of years, you'll become world class. But most people don't understand these things at all. They don't understand that it's important to understand what your talent is and work in that area. And if they do understand that that's true, they don't know what their talents are. So many people I ask, what are you good at? Well, I don't know, I'm not good at anything. But everyone has a God-given talent. So these are in the community, how to act in the community. Then, what kind of beliefs are positive? Some belief systems or some groups, they grind you down. They make you less than you are. And some, they make you more than you are. Materialism, for example, it tells you that you're just a robot. So people go around like robots. They completely lose the ability to think, to display initiative, to be creative. Whereas others, they have a very positive effect. And also there's beliefs about ourselves. We've been drilled so many times, like a child when they're young, they're told hundreds and thousands of times, don't do that, you're bad, it's naughty, like that. And you end up thinking, I'm naughty, I'm bad. We have these beliefs built into us. How are we going to deal with those beliefs? How can we identify the beliefs and how can we change them so that we have positive beliefs about ourselves? These are some positive practical skills. Then, as well as that, this is like the basis of the program. Then after that, we're looking at practically applying these skills, understandings and attitudes in practical areas. First is the environment. We're part of the environment. If we mess up the environment, we're messing up the place that we're living. We're part of it. So how can we, what is the Vedic attitude to the environment? First of all, it's given by the Supreme, not for us to dominate, not for us to enjoy and control. There are resources there, and we're supposed to use the resources, but we have to steward the resources. It means use the environment wisely and with compassion to satisfy our need and not to satisfy our greed. And then there's 4 religious principles. Cleanliness, living simply, that's austerity, truthfulness, and compassion, mercy. So if we apply those 4 principles in the environmental, in relation to the environment, 95% of the problems now will be solved. If we didn't waste, if we lived simply, if we're compassionate to animals, to the trees, to other societies, if we were clean and pure, if we didn't pollute the environment, and if we were truthful. Truth means that I am a spiritual being, and the environment is provided by the Supreme Spirit, and it's an area for me to make material progress, yes, but spiritual progress also. This is truthful living. And spiritual leadership. Spiritual leadership means even material affairs need spiritual leadership. Everything needs leadership. So even leaders in material business, they also have to have spiritual qualities, especially vision and love, altruistic love. And it's been shown scientifically that if somebody has spiritual values, not a religious belief so much, but if they actually have spiritual values, they lead a spiritual life, they'll be more effective as a leader. Their leadership qualities will be much more effective. Then recovering from addictions and addictive behavior patterns. An addiction is a habit that's destroying our life and we can't stop it. Cocaine does that. Tobacco does it. Alcohol does it. These are substances. You can be addicted to substances. But you can also be addicted in relationships. Many people are addicted to gambling. They're addicted to shopping, to spending money. Our society is an addictive society. People are addicted to controlling, to wasting, and to enjoying. And therefore the world's going to hell, because the ecological footprint that the earth can sustain is like that big, and the average ecological footprint in the West is that big. So it's a destructive lifestyle, and they can't change it. That's an addiction. So what's the cure for addiction? The cure for addiction is to turn to the Supreme. The 12-step process is the most effective process for curing addiction. And it's very, very simple. In essence, it's very simple. You admit that you're helpless in the face of your habit, that you need help from a higher source, and then you open your heart up to healing grace from the Supreme, whatever you call the Supreme, God, Krishna, whatever. It was made by Christians, actually. It was established by Christians, that method. But they deliberately cut God out of it so that it's seen as a non-sectarian process. Then spiritual synergy. Spiritual synergy was showing how all the different forms of spirituality fit into the overall picture that's explained in the Vedic wisdom tradition. The spirit soul is trying to better his position, either materially, or for some, they're frustrated, materially frustrated, so they want liberation. And for others, they understand that beyond liberation, there's the spiritual world and service to the Supreme. That, in a nutshell, is what's going on in the whole arena of spirituality. So from the Vedic point of view, we can identify what the different approaches to spirituality are, what people are doing, and how it fits into the overall picture, and what are the real common principles, how spiritual traditions, instead of fighting with each other, creating conflict in society, and creating, so that people are less inclined to take up spirituality, and instead of that, work together for a common goal. Because really, if we understand that, real religion means to love God and serve God. It doesn't matter that much if somebody becomes a Christian or a Muslim or what. So if we pool resources and work to spiritualize society, then it'll be a very, very different picture from what it is at the moment. So that's an overall view of the Vedic. We call it sometimes Vedic post-materialism, or yoga for living and loving. Yoga means meeting. It doesn't just mean physical exercises. So yoga means meeting the individual is meeting with the Supreme. So that's the program.